You're listening to a Truly Magic episode 182 of Super League Pod, the magic being what kept us awake to record after a fun-filled weekend in Newcastle. You'll hear all about takeaways, tackle and back chat, and that's just the extracurriculars. Strap yourselves in for SLP time. Right, everyone, welcome along to episode 182 of the Super League Pod. If my voice sounds as croaky as it feels, that's because it's the Monday after Magic weekend. I'm your regular host, Mark, and I'm joined this week in the revolving co-host chair by Alan Cale, Bradford fan, but also Rugby League fan, who was at Magic weekend this weekend too. How are you, Alan?
Yeah, I'm a lot better than you sound, to be brutally honest with you.
I'm exhausted.
This is what comes with not being a drinker. You see, this is the advantage to it. But yeah, no, I look forward to next week's as well. I think God knows what you're going to be like after another 2 days on the sauce. But,
luckily after the summer bash, I'm not in work on the Monday like I was today, so it's not quite as problematic for me.
So you're blaming work? It's work's fault.
Well, okay. I'm blaming myself. I didn't even drink yesterday on the Sunday at Magic Weekend. I only drank on the Saturday. Maybe. So
but we all know you had plenty on Saturday.
Yeah. So what we'll do, we'll have a quick chat about our Magic weekends. Everything outside of the actual games itself. We'll do that now first of all to open up the show. Then we'll rattle through another busy week of Rugby League news. It includes some big stories in particular out of Wigan. We're going to try not to comment too much on the news stories because there's just so many of them, and we want to focus on the main event, which is Magic Weekend. But some of the stories we're going to have to give a bit of time to because they've only just happened today.
Yes.
Before the main event, then it's going to be the main event at Magic Weekend. All your fan reviews, got lots this week from Magic Weekend and from a few other things as well. Then, to sort of come towards rounding things off, we're going to look forward to the annual party in the Championship, Blackpool Summer Bash next week, which you've already alluded to. SLP will be at, so it's going to be an exciting one again if this weekend in Newcastle has anything to go by. So I mean we saw the Toronto Toulouse game together and a bit of the Widnes St Helens game together. How was your Magic experience outside of that?
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, it's the first Magic weekend I've been to. I've been to a few bashes, but this is the first Magic weekend. Tend to avoid it as historically as a Bradford fan, and never. I don't know. I just never kind of never made it to one before now. But yeah, it was kind of. So I got myself the £99 dream ticket, as they're calling it, which gave you access to 2 days at Magic and then reasonable tickets at the Grand Final and at Challenge Cup Final as well. So I'll be at those as well.
I'd never heard of this until you told me about it. So that shows how well they've marketed that ticket.
Well, it was literally it was on the website, but you need to do a bit more. You can't just assume that everyone's going to go to rugbyleaguetickets.com. You know what I mean? You've got and it's good. It's a good. I think 99 is a pretty good.
It's not a bad deal.
I think you get hang on, what did you get? So you had 7 games over the weekend. So you get 9 games. So it's like £11 a game. If you
9 games and 2 of them the 2 biggest games of the year. So
yeah, exactly. So you can't. I don't think you can argue with that. I mean, but yeah, marketing and that.
So how did you enjoy the rest of your weekend after you ran into me?
Yeah, no, it was good. I was kind of just watching the games really. So I managed to see. I didn't see the kind of the finales of both days. I kind of had to duck out to get home for family stuff. But yeah, no, I've caught up with those games. But yeah, I thought it was really good. I was really impressed.
How did you manage in your quest for vegan food near to the stadium?
Well, Newcastle's actually really good. I was surprised how good it was. Obviously, you had to go off site. I mean, I'm not saying there's much there's much meat content in those hot dogs, but there's probably loads of things you shouldn't be having. So yeah, but actually, this is the thing. Newcastle, as a big cosmopolitan city with lots going on, you can find anything you want really in terms of whatever your kind of preference is, whether it be chicken or whatever.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, no, that it was great, and the city was good, and yeah, as I think we kind of chatted in the week before, I've never been before for some other reason, even though it's only like 90 minutes away from me. It's just one of those places I've never been to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was really it's a nice city. Kind of obviously it was really buzzing with lots of people around. But yeah, it's interesting. I think I've picked up some comments from people about marketing and stuff, and when you actually arrived in Newcastle, you wouldn't have had a clue that it was going on unless you knew what the shirts were that you were seeing about. It was only when you got within about 500 meters of the stadium that the noise, and you saw a few fans milling around as you headed up through Chinatown and that way. That's when you knew that something was going on.
Well, we were staying in Chinatown, and so obviously that's where we arrived, basically into the middle of everything. So it hit us straight away in Newcastle. But you're right. On the Sunday morning, we walked down to the river and that, and
yeah, which is lovely down there.
Yeah, and then there wasn't a great deal of stuff going on about the weekend apart from right around the stadium. But it was great around the stadium. It was a great atmosphere of lots of different fans, all drinking and getting along as you would expect at the Magic Weekend. We stayed around that sort of area, really drinking. We had a good few meetups with different people from the Super League Pod family, so that was really good. There was a few people I met for the first time, and Paul O'Brien, who was so popular that not only did he get to meet us for the first time, but he nearly got to go onto the pitch with Wellington Albert for the first game. His daughter led out Grace, who you would have heard last year on the season review show, walked out the witness team, but Paul was in there in the tunnel, sort of waiting with her beforehand, and I think Wellington just saw a witness shirt and thought he was supposed to walk out. That would have been awesome if he'd have got to the tunnel. You could see what the sky coverage.
Oh, can you? Right, okay. I mean, I presume he's a little bit less tall than Wellington. So maybe he just had a slight. He didn't understand the size difference.
Yeah,
anyway,
possibly so. So that was great, and a lot of the other, you weren't the only co-host that we met up with. Sarah and her family were around all weekend. I think she possibly met up with even more people than I did Sarah. So that's excellent. What else did we go up to? I'm trying to think now. So we had a few beers beforehand. Already on the Saturday, and then I tried to take it easy during the day at the games, but it wasn't that easy to take it easy when you sat there for that much time, was it? But the real party started after the games had finished, really, and Dom Hodgson at the Hodge, who everyone will know from the show, was really downbeat after the Leeds performance, but we managed to snag him just before he disappeared off with his granddad to kind of go on their own path, as it were, and turn his mood around. And I'm sure he's glad we did, because on Saturday night, after copious amounts of beer and rattling the door of a locked KFC to see if it was open still, we turned up at the Chicken Cottage takeaway that's been getting a lot of press on the Proper Sport show over the last few weeks from Gary Schofield and that, and we actually, by coincidence as it had it, ran into the guys, so Mark and Richard and Scoey. I think Aaron Bower was in there. I think I thought Aaron Bower was only a lot younger than I thought he was not long out. They all look so young, these journalists these days. They all look so young. So
everyone looks so young.
I'm sure I was so drunk that I chewed their ears off enough about stuff. We all had a good time. Fatboy Rob was there. Getting some selfies with the legend, and that was a lot of fun. Apart from, there was one knobber there who started throwing chicken at Scoey, and that seemed a bit out of order. We're not always Scoey's biggest fans with some of the stuff he says, but that's a step too far. But that certainly wasn't any of us. But yeah, we had a great time with all that, and then on the Sunday, me and Liam sat with Brian Davies, legend of Super League
Ah,
Pod,
right, yeah.
uh,
We,
for the
I
3
saw
games. That was
Brian from
cracking.
afar, but we didn't. I didn't get to say hello.
Yeah. So and there was loads of other people. I've missed people out and stuff. But not not on purpose or anything. It was just I'm
It's
tired.
just a bit of a blur.
I'm just tired. But yeah, I had a great weekend. It's the first one I've been to in Newcastle. So for a Magic weekend, and on the Sunday morning walking around, Liam was like, "So are we booking our hotel just on the off chance it is back here?" And stuff like that. So my uncle Liam had a great time too. He loves spending time chatting rugby with everyone. He was making sure he laid claim to the fact of SLP beginning, even though he doesn't listen and he's got no interest in listening whatsoever. But he liked to tell everyone that if it weren't for him, there would be no SLP, because I probably wouldn't have been as into rugby league as I am, because he's the one who got us into it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
there's probably a grain of truth in that, but yeah, it's like I guess you could pull everything back to the beginning, couldn't you? And yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, he was the first one of our family to start going, so he does deserve credit for it in some way, shape, or form, I suppose. Yeah, so I had an absolutely cracking time myself, definitely.
Yeah, no, I would go back. Funnily enough, I've just filled out the survey that they kind of that they send you about your experience of the weekend and stuff like that. So yeah, it was. I definitely go back, but I do think there's something around packaging tickets and making and pulling. Obviously, I didn't have a dog in the fight in terms of the teams that were playing. I was just went for the experience and the spectacle. And there's definitely a group of fans out there who are who might support a lower division club or might just have a passing interest who are going to potentially push that
Yeah.
attendance from 30 odd thousand to 40 odd thousand, and kind of who are probably who might help to even up the days a little slightly in terms of your lower light fixtures on your second day or whatever.
Well, where
So
we
so
were
the,
sat
the
both days, there was people like that, like you, like ourselves, really. Rugby league fans who were sat same seats all day, both days, kind of
yeah.
watching and absorbing all the action. So I definitely think if they can expand that market, it's a good thing. And Newcastle is a good venue for bringing people in for their own games, but kind of making them stay around a little bit longer because there's a bit more close to the ground and that sort of stuff. So you might nip out for a bit, but then think, oh, I'll go back and watch that game because you're just drinking down the road or something. Whereas at Manchester, it was out of the way for that sort of thing. If you left sort of
Yeah,
situation.
I think it is unique as a stadium in Britain. I can't think of another
Well,
one that's
Cardiff,
so central.
the Principality Stadium in Cardiff is very similar, isn't it? Um, but that's
Yeah,
the
see,
only
see,
other
see
one,
yeah. Well,
and it takes forever to get there.
yeah. Well, there is that. I mean, I went to the Challenge Cup final there, and it has it to an extent. I just didn't think it had quite. It
Yeah,
doesn't feel quite as central. But yeah, and it's I think honestly, I think it's a good balance in terms of capacity. You can kind of by keeping the top tier closed at St James's Park, you can kind of you keep everyone in a reasonable ball, and particularly like later on the Saturday, it definitely the atmosphere built, didn't it? You kind of you had your real strong Warrington
yeah.
fans on you kind
From
of.
from kind of the back end of the Toronto Toulouse game, you started to have the singing
Yes.
between groups of fans, and it did, and throughout the rest of the day, it stayed that way on Saturday, which was fantastic. That was really, that's what makes Magic Weekend such a fun place to be. I saw all sorts of shirts. Do you know what? In the hotel, I even saw a bloke in a South Wales Ironman shirt.
There you go.
So every every
I
sort of
saw
shirt.
so many as well. Yeah, like amateur teams and shirts from God knows when. Kind of from current Super League clubs, and yeah, just like literally hundreds of different shirts.
It was a cracking array,
People's affinity with varying, but affinity with the sport rather than specifically the 14 teams that were kind of there.